The throne chamber of Calderis stood silent and cold. The walls shimmered with blue light, like water frozen in stone. Queen Xylara sat on her high seat, her pale skin catching the glow. Her eyes were ancient and tired. She had ruled the 7th Galactic Assembly for 40 years. Nothing surprised her anymore. That changed when the messenger entered. Commander Vex walked fast, his webbed feet making soft sounds on the crystal floor. His face showed something unusual: worry, fear. These emotions did not suit him. Vex was the Queen's military leader. He had seen wars and death. He did not fear easy. "Your Majesty," Vex said. He bowed, but not the full bow. This was a sign of emergency. A ship enters the system. It comes from the Outer Rim territories. Queen Xylara did not move. "Which faction?" "That is the strange part, my queen. It carries no military marks, no trade signs. But our sensors say it is a Calder ship. Very old, very damaged." The queen leaned forward. For the first time in many years, something moved behind her eyes. Interest, concern. "Old Calder ships do not come from the Outer Rim anymore. No, my queen, they do not." The queen stood. Her tall body moved like water, smooth and slow. "What else?" Vex hesitated. This was unlike him. The queen waited. She was good at waiting. Calder people were good at waiting. They could stand still for hours. The crew sent a message. One name. "Princess Lyra requests entry to the palace." The queen did not move. She did not breathe. Her hand gripped the arm of her throne so hard the crystal cracked. A small sound. Barely there. But in the silence, it was like thunder. "Impossible," the queen said. "The DNA matches my queen. It is her." 5 years. 5 years since Princess Lyra had left for the human territories. 5 years since the last message came back. A short message. A report. Then nothing. The assembly had declared her dead. The queen had accepted this truth, as a Calder must. Without emotion. Without question. But some part of her, the small human part that lived in all Calder, had never accepted it. "Bring her to the throne chamber," the queen said. "But bring guards." Many guards. Within 1 hour, the chamber filled with people. High advisors came. Military leaders arrived. Scientists stood ready. The queen sat silent, watching the doors. She did not know what she felt. Calder did not understand feelings the way humans did. But something moved in her chest. Something old and dangerous. The doors opened. A figure walked into the light. Princess Lyra. She looked different. Older. Her skin had marks that Calder skin should not have. Scars. Battle marks. But her face was the same. Her eyes were the same. She was alive. Behind her walked 2 small figures. The room went completely silent. The first child was tall for his age, perhaps 6 years old. His skin was pale like Calder skin, but his face was different. His features were sharper. His eyes were different colors. One was Calder blue. One was human brown. He looked around the great chamber with no fear. No respect. Just curious eyes. The second child was smaller. 4 years old perhaps, female. She held her brother's hand. Her skin was darker than pure Calder. Her hair was brown and long like human hair. But her ears had the slight webbing of her mother's people. She stared at the queen with an expression that seemed far too wise for such a young face. Lyra bowed. Only the smallest bow. She still had some pride. "Mother," she said, "I have returned." The queen did not speak. Could not speak. Her eyes moved from the princess to the children and back again. Commander Vex stepped forward. His hand moved near his weapon. "Guards, take the queen to safety. These creatures may be dangerous." But the queen held up her hand. "No, She descended from her throne. She walked down the long crystal steps, one step at a time, slow, careful. She stopped in front of Lyra. For a moment, nothing happened. No embrace, no emotion. Just two females of the Calder people looking at each other. Then the queen looked at the children. The boy stared back. He was not afraid. Calder children would have shown fear or respect. This boy showed only interest. He studied the queen like she was a problem to solve. The girl reached up and touched her mother's hand. Then she looked at the queen, and she smiled. The queen had not seen a smile in many years. Calder did not smile. It served no purpose. No logic, but humans smiled. And this child, half human, smiled with open warmth. "Who are these children?" the queen asked. Her voice was flat. Calder voice. No emotion. "My children," Lyra said. "Your grandchildren. I have brought them home." A voice came from the crowd. Advisor Torn stepped forward. He was old, even for Calder. His position was ancient. His power was strong. "Your Majesty, this is impossible. No Calder female has produced offspring with a lesser species. The genetic rejection alone would cause death. Both the mother and the children should be dead." "Yet they live," Lyra said. "I lived. They live. This is fact, not science." The boy spoke suddenly. His voice was young but clear. "We are alive because mother is strong, and father is smart. Strong and smart make alive." Several advisors gasped. The child spoke in Calder language. Perfect Calder language, but with an accent. A strange accent that belonged to no Calder city. The accent of somewhere else. Somewhere human. The queen looked at her daughter. "Tell me what happened." Lyra took a deep breath. "I cannot speak all truth here, mother, but I can speak this much. I went to the human territories to understand them, to know if they were truly the simple creatures we believed. What I found was different. I found intelligence. I found honor. I found a scientist named Marcus. And I found love. The word love hung in the air like poison." "A human?" Torn said. "You gave yourself to a human?" "I gave myself to my choice," Lyra said. "And I do not regret it." The chamber became loud with voices. Some angry, some shocked, some surprised. The queen stood still. She watched her daughter. She watched her grandchildren. The boy was now looking at the paintings on the walls. He was trying to understand their meaning. The girl was still smiling. "Silence," the queen said. Every voice stopped. This was the power of the throne. "We will conduct tests. Genetic tests. We will learn what these children are. Then we will decide what to do with them." She turned away. She returned to her throne. But as she sat, she looked once more at the children, and for just a moment, in her ancient eyes, something that looked like hope appeared. The throne chamber grew quiet. And in that quiet, the future of the 7th Galactic Assembly began to change. In a dark place far from the cities of Calderus, Admiral Cross stood before a row of caged prisoners. Humans, weak, fragile, useless, or so he believed. His laboratory was hidden inside a mountain. No one knew it existed. No one was supposed to know, but Cross knew about the children. He knew about Princess Lyra. He knew about the hybrids. And he was angry. For 5 years, he had waited. For 5 years, he had gathered scientists loyal to his cause. Genetic purity. Calder strength. This was his mission. This was his truth. And the hybrid children were an abomination. A sign that the queen had become weak. A sign that his faction needed to act. Cross was tall. Taller than normal Calder. His skin was scarred from old battles. His eyes were cold. Not the normal cold of colder logic. A different cold. The cold of someone who had lost his mind to hatred. Can a human survive increased radiation? He asked his chief scientist. Some will, the scientist answered. The survivors will develop new genetic traits. The radiation damages their DNA in useful ways. It makes them stronger, more aggressive. Good, Cross said. Soon we will have an army of enhanced humans. We will tell the assembly that the humans are a threat, that they must be destroyed. And when the assembly asks us for help, we will provide it. With our army, with our weapons. And we will save the species from contamination. He smiled. It was not a pleasant smile done in the palace. Commander Vex received strange information. Reports of unusual military activity in the outer territories. Missing people. Humans from the colonies disappearing without explanation. He brought this to the Queen, but when he tried to investigate, he found resistance. His deputy, a young officer named Thorn, showed strange behavior. Thorn did not want the investigation to continue. Thorn blocked Vex's orders. Thorn redirected the soldiers. Vex realized the truth. Thorn was connected to the conspiracy. He went to the Queen in secret. There is a faction, he told her. An old faction. A dangerous one. Led by someone powerful. They do not want the hybrid children to live. They do not want peace with humans. They want the species to remain pure. And they are willing to kill to make this happen. The Queen did not seem surprised. I suspected this, she said. There are always those who fear change. But tell me, how powerful is this faction? Very powerful, Your Majesty. They have weapons. They have laboratories. They have followers throughout the military. But they have no name, no known leader. We cannot move against them without proof. The Queen looked out at the city below the palace. Lights flickered in the darkness. Millions of Calder lived below. They were safe. Or they thought they were. Bring me proof, she said. Helena and Captain James Cooper arrived at the palace the next day. Cooper was a human, strong, intelligent, a natural leader. He had brought 50 human soldiers with him. With him, these were not warriors. They were colonists. People who knew how to survive. People who understood that sometimes you must fight to protect what you love. Admiral Cross is moving weapons, Cooper told the Queen. We have found 3 hidden laboratories. He is building something. Something that uses human genetics, but makes them into weapons. He is creating monsters. The Queen sat still. How do you know this? Vex asked. He did not trust the human. We have scouts, Cooper said. The humans in the colonies see things. We notice when people disappear. We notice when ships move secretly. We have been tracking Cross for 3 months. Why did you not tell us? The Queen asked. Because we did not know if you would believe us, Helena said. Because we were not sure if you would help. Because some Calder still see humans as lesser. We needed proof. We needed allies. We needed the children to prove that our species can work together. The Queen considered this. The children, she said. Do they know of this danger? Kai knows, Myra said suddenly. Everyone turned. Mira was standing in the doorway. Kai stood beside her. The children had come without being called. Somehow they always knew when they were needed. Kai walked to the center of the room. He was only 6 years old, but he carried himself like someone much older. The weapons are wrong, he said. They are made with human DNA, but the DNA is broken. The weapons are not strong. They are confused. If someone makes them fight, they will fight each other. Vex stared at the child. How can you know this? He asked. Kai can see patterns, Myra said. He saw the weapons plans in the data. They are not complete. There is a flaw. Kai pointed at a screen. He began to explain. His voice was young. His explanation was like something a child would say. But what he said was correct. Every word was true. The weapons had a fatal design flaw. They could be destroyed from the inside. With the right command. With the right information. Admiral Cross had made a mistake. And a 6-year-old hybrid child had seen it. The Queen made her decision. "We will move against them," she said. "But we will do it together. Calder and human. Military and scientists. We will show Cross that his vision is wrong. That together we are stronger than apart." She stood. She walked to Kai. She looked at him directly. "Will you help us?" she asked. "Yes," Kai said. "Kai will help. Humans are good. Calder are good. Together, good is better." Over the next days, plans were made. Human scouts found the exact locations of Cross's laboratories. Calder military units were positioned carefully. No one knew about the alliance yet. The conspiracy was about to move. They believed they could seize the children. They believed they could restore genetic purity. They believed they could win. They did not know that a 6-year-old child with a hybrid mind had already defeated them. Cross made his move on the 7th day. His forces attacked the palace. His soldiers tried to penetrate the defenses. His weapons fired, and they stopped working. All of them. At the same exact moment. Every weapon went dark. Every system failed. Kai had found the weakness. Helena had given them the command code. The weapons destroyed themselves from the inside. Cross's army fell apart. Without weapons, they were just soldiers. Calder soldiers would kill them. Human soldiers would capture them. It was over quickly. Admiral Cross tried to run. But Vex caught him. The commander brought him to the Queen. "Your reign is finished," the Queen said. "Your vision is finished. The future is not what you wanted, but it is what will be." Cross tried to speak. His mouth opened, but no words came out. He had lost. Everything he wanted to build had failed. All because of a hybrid child. All because of humans and Calder working together. In the palace, Kai and Mira watched the sunrise. It was morning. The attack had ended in darkness. The victory had come with the light. What happens now? Myra asked her brother. Kai looked out at the city. At the Calder below. At the human ships that had come to help them. "Now," he said, "everything changes." And it did. The laboratory was cold and bright. White light came from everywhere. No shadows. No places to hide. Scientist Torrance stood before the genetic displays. Numbers and patterns covered the screens. He had been working for 16 hours without rest. This was normal for Calder scientists. They did not need sleep the way humans did. But Torrance was frustrated. The numbers did not make sense. The 2 hybrid children sat in the observation room behind thick glass. The boy, Kai, watched everything. His eyes followed each movement Torrance made. He was learning. Always learning. The girl, Myra, sat quietly. She did not move much. She did not speak often. But when she did, she said things that meant something. Dr. Helena Mason entered the laboratory. She was human. Small. Dark skin. Dark eyes that showed exhaustion. She had come from the human colony with Princess Lyra. She was a scientist herself. One of the best from the human settlements. Her knowledge of human genetics was perfect. Her knowledge of hybrid biology was necessary. "What have you found?" she asked. Torrance did not look at her. Calder did not trust humans easily. But this human had brought Princess Lyra home safely. This human had protected the children. And this human's knowledge was correct. Every time they tested her information, it matched the data. "The children should not exist," Torrance said. "I have checked the mathematics many times. a Calder female with a human male. The genetic distance is too great. The rejection would be immediate. The mother would have died during pregnancy. The children would have died at birth. But they exist, Helena said. So your understanding of genetics is incomplete. Torin turned to face her. His expression did not change, but his eyes showed anger. Incomplete? I have studied genetics for 80 years. I have created 17 new life forms using genetic technology. I am not incomplete. Helena did not back down. She looked at him directly. This was how humans showed respect. Not submission. Not fear. Just direct truth. Then your assumption is wrong, she said. You assume that Calder and human genetics must reject each other. But what if they don't? What if they actually complement each other? What if this is possible because of what humans are, not despite it? Torin returned to his screens. He pulled up new data. Helena moved closer. Together, they looked at the genetic maps. The boy's DNA showed something extraordinary. The Calder parts were strong. The human parts were strong. But where they connected, they did not fight. They supported each other. The boy's immune system was better than pure Calder. His cognitive structure was faster than pure human. He was not a broken mixture. He was something new. This is not possible, Torin whispered. And yet, Helena said. In the observation room, Kai pressed his hand against the glass. He knew they were talking about him. He knew they were trying to understand. The young boy's mind was already working ahead. He saw the genetic displays reflected in the glass. Numbers and patterns. He started to see what they meant. He made connections that took scientists years to understand. He made them in seconds. Myra watched her brother. She did not need to understand genetics. She understood something else. She understood how people felt. Without being told. Without being taught. She felt Torin's confusion and his fear. She felt Helena's certainty. She felt something else in the building. Something angry and afraid. Something that wanted to hurt them. She pointed at the older scientist. He is sad, she said. Her voice was soft but clear. Torin looked at the child through the glass. What do you know of sadness? He asked. You love someone like mother loves father, Myra said. And they died. This is in your face. The laboratory became completely still. Helena held her breath. Torin did not move. The girl had spoken of something no one knew. His daughter. She had died years ago. She had wanted to marry a human. Torin had forbidden it. She had run away. He had not spoken to her in 10 years. Then she had died in an accident on a distant world. Torin turned away from the observation window. The children will be tested further, he said. We must understand their physical capabilities. We must know if they pose a danger to Calder society. Over the next 3 weeks, tests continued. The children were tested for strength. Kai showed muscles stronger than human children, but weaker than pure Calder. His flexibility was extraordinary. He could move in ways that neither species usually moved. Combined strength. Not one thing or another. Something between. Myra was tested for psychic abilities. Young Calder sometimes showed these powers. Humans never did. Myra showed human levels of psychic strength. But her accuracy was perfect. She could sense emotions from any living thing. She could read the truth in what people said. This was a human trait in appearance. But the power was pure Calder. More scientists arrived. They came from the greatest cities of Calderis. They came to study the impossible children. Some believed the hybrids should be studied and kept away from normal society. Others believed they should be destroyed. A few believed they represented evolution. Young council member Sarin was the loudest voice against the children. We have genetic purity laws, he said in the council chamber. These laws exist for a reason. To keep our people pure. To keep our strength. If we allow these hybrids to live among us, we weaken our bloodlines. We weaken our future. But not everyone agreed. Advisor Corn stood. She was old but sharp. Her mind was like crystal. The children are already here, she said. The question is not whether they exist. They do. The question is what they can teach us. What they can show us about the future. Are we so afraid of change that we would destroy our own grandchildren? The council divided. Argument became heated. The queen did not speak. She listened. Then something happened that changed everything. Young Kai became ill. His fever came fast and high. The hybrid immune system could not fight a Calder sickness. No human medicine worked. No Calder medicine worked. The two systems could not agree on how to heal him. For 5 days, Kai lay in a healing chamber. His heart barely beat. His breathing grew shallow. The queen came to his room. She stood by the clear pod that held the child. She did not touch it. She did not speak. She simply watched her grandson. She watched him struggle to live. Myra came in. She walked to her grandmother. She was very small. The queen was very tall. But the girl did not show fear. Kai does not want to die, Myra said. He wants to live. He wants to know things. He wants to learn. The queen looked at her granddaughter. What is your name? The queen asked. Myra, I am 4 years old. When Kai was 4, mother said he was full of questions. I am full of feelings. The queen did something she had not done in decades. She reached down. She touched the child's hair. It was soft, like human hair, but with Calder texture, something between both worlds. Your brother will live, the queen said. I will make sure. She left the room. She went to Helena and Torin. She gave them one command. Work together. Save the child. Use all methods. Calder and human. I do not care how. Only that he lives. For 3 days, Helena and Torin worked without stopping. They mixed Calder medicine with human science. They created something new. Something that had never been tried before. They gave it to Kai. And slowly, the fever broke. Kai opened his eyes. He looked at the two scientists standing over him. His face showed no weakness. No fear. Thank you, he said in clear Calder speech. You fix me. That is good. Torin looked at Helena. Helena looked at Torin. Neither had expected thanks. Neither had expected respect. But they had received both. The news spread through Calderus. The hybrid child had survived. Human medicine and Calder science had saved him. The two could work together. The two could make something stronger. In the council chamber, even Sarin said nothing. The boy had lived. The evidence was real. The queen sat on her throne. She did not smile. Calder did not smile. But something in her eyes showed satisfaction. Her grandchildren would not be destroyed. They would be allowed to live. And who knew what they might teach the 7th Galactic Assembly about the future? The sky over Calderis turned red with fire. Admiral Cross had made a final decision. He would not surrender. He would not accept defeat. Instead, he would fight. He would burn the planet if necessary. He would destroy everything rather than let the hybrid children live. From his fortress in the northern mountains, Cross launched a massive attack. His remaining forces came in waves. His weapons still worked in some places. His followers still believed his cause was just. They came with the intention to kill the queen, to seize the children, to restore the old ways. The palace defenses were strong, but they were not strong enough for so many attacks. Commander Vex called for help. All forces, he shouted into the communication device. Report to the palace. We are under siege. Captain James Cooper had been waiting for this moment. He had 50 human soldiers. Not many, but they were fast. They moved in ways Calder soldiers did not move. They used tactics that no one expected. Where Calder fought with strength and technology, humans fought with intelligence and courage. The first attack wave came at dawn. Ships descended from the sky. Energy weapons fired at the palace gates. The gates held, but barely. Cooper moved his soldiers into position. He placed them on high ground. He placed them in hidden locations. He studied the enemy's patterns. They come in straight lines, he told Vex. They use the same approach every time. We can break their pattern. How? Vex asked. We make them guess, Cooper said. We make them think. Calder's strength is mathematics and logic. But humans are better at surprise, at changing what the enemy expects. The next attack came. Cross's soldiers advanced in perfect formation. It was efficient. It was deadly. It was also exactly what Cooper expected. The human soldiers fired from locations where Calder soldiers never would have positioned themselves, at angles that did not make logical sense, in patterns that seemed random. But they were not random. Each shot was placed exactly right. Each movement was perfect. Cross's first wave broke. Soldiers fell. The remaining soldiers did not know what had hit them. They could not calculate where the humans were. They could not predict human behavior. Inside the palace, Kai and Mira watched from a protected chamber. Kai's eyes were on the battle display. He was learning how Cooper moved. He was understanding human tactics. This was data. This was logic. And Kai was very good with logic. Humans are interesting, Kai said to his sister. Humans are brave, Myra said. Feel their feelings. They are scared, but they fight anyway. That is braver than anything. The battle continued for hours. Cross sent more forces. Each time, Cooper's soldiers met them with unexpected tactics. The humans were outnumbered. They were outgunned. But they were not. A UTMATCHED.1 human pilot named Daniel Hayes was flying air support. His small fighter ship was old. It was not as advanced as Calder military ships. But Hayes was skilled. He was fast. He made sharp turns that Calder pilots would never attempt. Then Hayes saw the final weapon. Cross was moving something large from the fortress. A massive cannon. A device that could destroy the entire palace. Hayes knew what he had to do. He pushed his fighter ship faster than it was meant to go. The engine screamed. The hull began to heat. He was pushing toward the weapon with no plan to escape. Vex watched on the display. He is flying toward certain death, Vex said. He knows, Cooper said quietly. Some humans do this. Some humans choose to save others, even when it costs them everything. Hayes reached the cannon. He aimed his ship directly at it. The cannon operator saw him coming. He tried to fire, but it was too late. Hayes's fighter ship crashed directly into the weapon. The explosion was huge, bright. The cannon was destroyed. The fortress began to fall apart. Hayes did not eject. He did not escape. He had made his choice, and he had made it with full knowledge of what would happen. Inside the palace, everyone saw this. Calder soldiers stopped fighting. They stared at the display. A single human. One small ship. One person who had decided that saving others was worth his own death. Kai and Mira felt the moment. That is love, Myra said. That is the strongest thing. Vex was quiet. He was a warrior. He had seen battles. He had seen death. But he had never seen this. He had never seen someone choose to die for strangers. The battle changed after that moment. Cross's followers stopped advancing. Some dropped their weapons. Some tried to run. The fortress fell. The siege was broken. When Cross's final defenses collapsed, soldiers found the admiral in his laboratory. He was trying to destroy evidence. He was trying to erase the records of his experiments. When Calder soldiers entered, he did not fight. He did not speak. He simply stood there. A man whose vision had failed. A man whose future would not come. The queen came to the battlefield. She walked through the ruins of her palace. She saw the damage. She saw the cost. Then she went to the place where Captain Cooper stood. "Your people fought for us," the queen said. "Even when they did not have to. Even when they could have left. They fought for the children," Cooper said. "For the future. For the idea that two species can live together." The queen nodded. "And one of your people died." "Yes," Cooper said. "Daniel Hayes. He was a good man. He was brave. He died doing what was right." The queen turned to face all of her people. All the Calder soldiers. All the human fighters. All the observers. She spoke in a voice that carried across the entire valley. "Today, we learned something," she said. "We learned that strength is not about being better than others. Strength is about standing together. Strength is about protecting those who cannot protect themselves. Our allies from the human colonies did this. They came to help us. They fought beside us. One of them died to save us." She looked at Daniel Hayes's body. Calder military tradition said that strangers deserved no honor. But the queen changed tradition. "We will honor this human," she said. "We will remember his name. We will teach our children about his choice. He is now Calder. In spirit, in honor, in our hearts." The Calder soldiers made a sound. Not a cheer, not a shout, but an acknowledgement, a recognition of truth. Later that day, the queen called Kai and Mira to her chamber. "You are my heirs," she said, "not just as grandchildren, but as symbols. The future of our civilization rests with you. You are proof that when we embrace change, we become stronger." Kai looked at his grandmother. "Kai will be good heir," he said. "Kai will remember Daniel Hayes. Kai will remember humans are brave. Kai will make Calder and humans work together." Myra reached up and took the queen's hand. "We will love your people," Myra said. "We will show them that fear is small, that working together is big." The queen held her grandchildren close. For the first time since they had arrived, she allowed herself to show emotion. Not Calder emotion. Human emotion. Love, gratitude, hope for a future she had not dared to imagine. Outside, the sun set on Calderus. The palace was damaged. The fortress was destroyed. But something new had been born. A partnership between worlds. A family that spanned species. A future that no one had predicted. 3 months had passed since the siege ended. The palace had been rebuilt. Not exactly as it was before, but stronger, better, with new sections designed by humans and built by Calder. The two styles mixed together. Neither one perfect, but together, complete. Queen Xylera stood before the great assembly hall. All the representatives of the 7th Galactic Assembly had come. Not just Calder, but also humans. And others. Creatures from a dozen different species. They had come to hear what the queen would say. For centuries, the assembly had been ruled by Calder alone. The Calder were the strongest, the smartest, the most advanced. Other species served. Other species worked. Other species were considered less. But the siege had changed this truth. The queen spoke in a clear voice. For thousands of years, we believed that strength meant domination. That being superior meant keeping others beneath us. We were wrong. We learned this lesson the hard way. We learned it through the sacrifice of a human named Daniel Hayes. We learned it through the courage of Captain James Cooper and his people. We learned it through our own grandchildren, who carry the blood of two species. She paused. The hall was completely silent. Today, I announce a new era for the Seventh Galactic Assembly. An era of partnership. An era of unity. We will not govern others. We will govern with them. We will share our knowledge. They will share theirs. And together, we will be greater than any of us could be alone. Cheers came from some parts of the hall. Silence from others. But the truth had been spoken. The future had been announced. Captain Cooper stood and bowed to the Queen. She acknowledged him. Then she called for her daughter. Princess Lyra came forward. She carried no weapons. She wore a new uniform. Not purely Calder. Not purely human. Something between. A symbol of what she had become. My daughter will serve as ambassador, the Queen said. She will travel to human worlds. She will establish trade agreements. She will create understanding. She will be the bridge between our peoples. Lyra bowed to her mother. For the first time, the bow was not formal. It was respectful but warm. A daughter bowing to her mother. Not as a princess to a ruler, but as a person to another person. The changes came quickly after that. Trade began between human settlements and Calder cities. Human ships brought medicines that humans had developed. Calder brought technology that would help humans survive and grow. Scientists from both species worked together on problems neither could solve alone. Alana continued her research. She created medicines that worked for both species. She trained young Calder doctors in human medicine. She trained young human doctors in Calder science. Her laboratory became the most important place in the assembly, not because of what was invented there, but because of what was learned. That cooperation was possible. That difference was strength, not weakness. Kai and Mira grew up in the palace. They were educated by teachers from both species. They learned Calder languages and human languages. They learned Calder mathematics and human philosophy. They learned how to think like scientists and how to feel like artists. Kai became known for his ability to solve problems. By the time he was 10 years old, he had already improved Calder military defense systems by using human tactical thinking. He showed that the best solutions came when both species contributed their strengths. Mira became known for her empathy. She could understand what any living creature felt. She used this to help resolve conflicts between different groups. When Calder and humans disagreed, Mira could sit with both sides and help them understand each other. She showed that emotions were not weakness. They were a different kind of intelligence. Commander Vex became the first military officer to train human and Calder soldiers side by side. At first, the soldiers resisted. They fought. They argued. They thought each other's methods were wrong. But gradually, they learned. Calder soldiers learned to be creative and adaptive. Human soldiers learned to be precise and logical. Together, they became the best trained force in the galaxy. When Vex trained them in combined tactics, humans did things that seemed illogical but worked. Calder soldiers did things that seemed cold but efficient. The combination was unstoppable. Enemies learned not to attack a force that contained both species working together. Admiral Cross was tried for his crimes. He faced the evidence. Hundreds of dead humans. Experiments that had caused terrible pain. The genocide he had planned. He was found guilty. The sentence was life in prison. He would spend his remaining years understanding what he had done. Understanding how he had been wrong. The human colony world was renamed. It had been called Outer Settlement 7. Now it was called New Haven. This was the place where humans and Calder had first met as equals, where cooperation had begun. It became the center of all trade and communication between the species. A monument was built there, a large structure made of materials from both worlds. Human stone and Calder crystal mixed together. Names were carved into it. All the humans who had died protecting others. All the Calder who had fought for unity. And at the top, one name. Daniel Hayes, the human who had given everything. People came from across the assembly to see the monument. To remember. To understand what sacrifice meant. 10 years after the siege, the Queen walked in the crystal gardens of the palace. She was very old now. Old for even a Calder. Her skin had grown pale. Her movements were slower. But her mind was still sharp. Kai and Mira walked beside her. Kai was 16 years old. Mira was 14. They were no longer children. But they were not yet adults. They were between worlds. They carried the hopes of two species. Do you think it will last? The Queen asked them. This peace we have built? Yes, Kai said. Because it is not built on fear. It is built on what both species can do together. That is stronger than fear. Yes, Myra said. Because people are learning to understand each other. Fear comes from not understanding. Understanding comes from listening. We are learning to listen. The Queen sat on a stone bench. The humans had brought stone. The Calder had created the crystal garden design. The bench was a combination of both. She looked at the water that flowed through the garden. Water that was sacred to Calder, but which humans also understood. Water was life. Both species knew this. I am old, the Queen said. Soon I will pass the throne. I will pass it to my daughter. And one day she will pass it to you. Or to someone else. It does not matter. What matters is that the tradition continues. That cooperation continues. That we remember why this matters. Kai and Myra sat beside their grandmother. We will remember, Myra said. We will tell our children. They will tell their children. The story will continue. Yes, the Queen said. And it will change. It will become something different. Something we cannot imagine. But it will start here. It will start with two children who are proof that we can be more than what we were. The sun was setting. Shadows grew long. In the city below, humans and Calder walked together in the streets. They were not all friends. They still argued sometimes. They still had misunderstandings. But they were trying. They were building something new. They were creating a future where difference was not a reason to fight, where power was not measured by how much you could control, but by how much you could achieve together. Years later, historians would write about this time. They would study the documents. They would research the decisions made. But they would always come back to one simple truth. It started. With the Queen willing to change her mind, it continued with humans. Willing to sacrifice everything. It was carried forward by two hybrid children who showed that the best parts of both species could come together. And it endured because people, whether human or Calder, wanted the same things. Safety for their families. Respect for their work. A future for their children. Understanding from others. In the end, it was simple. It was just connection. One life understanding another. One species learning from another. One moment of choosing compassion instead of fear. That was all it took. That was everything.